Ladies and gents, howdy. It's your boy Jermaine Event, Main on MMA. So recently, Jon Jones was interviewed, and once again, he was asked the question that everybody wants to know. Will you fight Tom Aspinall after you defend your belt against Stipe Miocic? Believing that he will be successful in his defense against Stipe Miocic. And I wanted to say that this fight is highly anticipated, but I don't think it's highly anticipated. I think at this point, it's been just a drawn out thing that pretty much, I'm a fight fan. Years ago, when they first started talking about this fight, I definitely was interested in this fight. And I would watch this fight if they just put it on. If there was no belt on the line, I would watch this fight. But the fact that they're putting the heavyweight belt on the line for this fight honestly makes no sense to me. So in the recent interview with Jon Jones, where he was asked if he would fight Tom Aspinall for a heavyweight title unification match, and Jon Jones says he feels like Tom Aspinall has not done enough to warrant a fight with Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall has not done enough to warrant a fight with Jon Jones. If Jon Jones' intentions are to simply retire after this fight with Stipe Miocic, someone who hasn't fought in almost 4 years, and his last fight, he got knocked out viciously, all right? He's not a contender. This division at this point has moved past him. He hasn't fought in over 3 years. All right. And his last fight was a knockout. He's not the number one contender. All right. In the heavyweight division. He's a 42-year-old man who hasn't fought in over 3 years that was the champion, that was considered the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC. Now, that's fleeting. It changes. Every year there's a new GOAT of the division, it seems like, for every division. But that's neither here nor there. Jon Jones says he wants to fight Stipe for legacy, right? This is a legacy fight. This fight has nothing to do with who the best heavyweight in the UFC is right now, right? I think we could all agree that this fight isn't about who the best heavyweight in the UFC is. I think that would be clearly who's the interim champion now. That is clearly who's the best heavyweight in the world. And Jon Jones at this point is like a red panty night for these guys. He's not in here to be the best heavyweight in the UFC because he beat Ciryl Gane. Now he's planning for his second fight and then to call it quits. His second fight in the division against a 43-year-old Stipe who hasn't fought in over 3 years since his last brutal knockout at the hands of Francis Ngannou. Now, Jon Jones says that Tom Aspinall has not done enough. All right. Let's look at quickly to run down what Tom Aspinall has done in the heavyweight division for Jon Jones. As I mentioned, he's only fought one time. He's fought Ciryl Gane in a 1-round fight. He dominated. All right. And what has Tom Aspinall done in the heavyweight division? Mind you, Jon Jones has said he's not done enough to warrant a title fight. He's beaten Curtis Blades. He lost to Curtis Blades in the first fight, but it was a weird knee injury 15 seconds into the fight. Tom Aspinall, who has not done anything in the heavyweight division, beat Curtis Blades. Tom Aspinall beat Sergey Pavlovich. These are all first-round finishes, by the way. Marcin Tybura, Alexander Volkov, Sergey Spivak, Andrei Arlovsky, which, whatever. He's, all right. I'd say people like Sergey Spivak. Volkov has looked amazing as of recently. He's looked a little bit improved. Sergey Pavlovich was the boogeyman of the division for a little while until Tom Aspinall came in and knocked him out. Sergey Pavlovich was the original backup fighter when Jon Jones Stipe was originally scheduled. And then Jon Jones got injured and they booked Aspinall Pavlovich. And Aspinall took care of business there and has since defeated his challenge in Curtis Blades. Yet according to Jon Jones, he has not done enough. If he has not done enough as the defending champion, right? He's defended the belt. He's defeated more top heavyweights. Like, he's beaten actual heavyweights. I think there's no real reason to keep. There's no real reason to keep the UFC heavyweight belt on Jon Jones. If the whole point of this is so that he can get pay-per-view points, then just give him the BMF belt. This should be a BMF fight, all right? And you're like, how could they just give him the BMF belt? How can you just create a BMF belt? So just give him the BMF belt and elevate Tom Aspinall, in my opinion, to undisputed champion. He is the undisputed champion. He's the one who's fighting the contenders of the division. Why didn't Stipe have to fight in almost 4 years? He can just sit out after being brutally knocked out and not even have to fight and show that he's still here, that he's still got it, that he should somehow still be the number one contender. He doesn't have to. This isn't a fight for who is the heavyweight champion. They're both leaning toward this being both of their last fights. So whoever wins that fight will not be the heavyweight champion for that much longer. They're going to retire and Tom Aspinall is going to be the champion. So just switch that heavyweight championship match to the BMF or the fucking old guy fights or red panty championships, because it means nothing. It means nothing. Jon Jones, I don't want to say, he's kind of ducking Tom Aspinall. You know, and if he doesn't want to fight Aspinall, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's his decision. He's been here for a while. He could have retired. He could have retired after the Ciryl Gane fight. He could have retired before the Ciryl Gane fight. He could have retired years ago. Honestly. But we all know who the real heavyweight champion is. And that's Tom Aspinall. All right. Stipe Miocic's Jon Jones is basically a BMF title fight. All right. It's not about who's the best heavyweight in the UFC. That is not what that fight is, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking that's what that fight is about. That is not what that fight is. That fight is an old guy fight. That fight is the BMF championship fight of the heavyweight division. It's not about who's the best heavyweight in the UFC. Because if it was, Tom Aspinall would be in there across from Jon Jones. Simply because they chose to give Jon Jones a title fight right away. Didn't have to prove himself in the division. He beat a Ciryl Gane who we all knew didn't have a grappling game. We all knew this going into it, and he went in and dominated him. And I don't know why I flew out there and spent all that money, and we should have. It should have been a foregone conclusion, but we learn, ladies and gentlemen, we learn. Okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Jon Jones needs to fight Tom Aspinall? Or do you feel like that, as he's saying, Tom Aspinall has not done enough to even warrant that fight? You agree with Jon Jones? Let me know in the comments. Maybe you have a new opinion. Let me know in the comments. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. I'll holla.